A timeline of American public schools. Religion played a pivotal role in the development of education throughout the 17th century through parts of the 19th century. Throughout the school system's genesis, the church led the curriculum that included basic reading, writing, and arithmetic. The essential learning for the new pupils was to develop the moral character of the next generation. The moral compass embodied by the church established the groundwork for the youth to replicate and teach them to be productive members of society. The school system was available to most through a universal type of education. Church-based colleges were established. Harvard and Yale followed the Puritan structure as Princeton followed the path of the Presbyterian. The newly founded system, directed to be established in Massachusetts, was founded by an educator and Whig, Horace Mann. The new program was deemed controversial as he dismissed the use of corporal punishment within the education system. Within the Common School Journal, Mann established 6 principles that would guide in the education system development. The Industrial Revolution, westward expansion, and mass immigration, 1850s to 1920s. Industrial Revolution, spread of industry increasing, increase in mass schooling, towns and schools and common schools, limited education for women, blacks, and Native Americans. Some influential figures were Thomas Jefferson, Benjamin Franklin, and Noah Webster. The study of classical curriculum declined. Westward expansion. Northwest Land Ordinance of 1787 gave education a big boost because schools had to be built on federally owned wilderness land. The Democratic Party was born. Conflict grew between industrialized North and agrarian South. Horace Mann established his first normal school. Separate but equal schools mandated. Teacher training is starting to come online. Finally, the standardization of schools. Mass immigration of Eastern and Southern Europe and Americanization. Between 1890 and 1930, over 22 million immigrants arrived in the U.S., many from Southern and Eastern Europe. Most of these recent immigrants spoke little English and identified more with the culture of their home country than with that of the U.S. American schools served the function of Americanizing all the children who attended by teaching and enforcing the use of English, celebrating Christian holidays, and instilling in each student the idea that education can be used as a tool to a better life. During this time, the trend in public schooling was progressive education, which focused on a varied and sometimes vocational education, as opposed to more pure academic teachings of other periods. The Great Depression through Cold War, 1930s through 1980s. As we reached the 1930s, the beginning of the Great Depression kicked off many years of devastation, both socially and economically. The stock market crash led to numerous layoffs within public education, as well as other budget cuts within the system. Though Roosevelt tried to brighten up spirits and bring the economy back to fruition, the mood of this age was definitely one of solemn. Education became second priority to the Depression, as the funds were not sufficient enough to make any major changes. This mindset continued on with the arrival of World War II, as many male students as well as educators had left their schools in order to provide their service. The baby boomer revelation that came at the end of the war forced schools to accommodate for a massive population growth. The mindset towards education comes at a high with the arrival of Sputnik. Fearing that we were no longer the most technologically advanced country compared to the Soviet Union, an effort was made to prioritize science and mathematics in the school system in order to catch up with them. As the years progressed, changes were made to provide further inclusion within schools and prevent discrimination with the arrivals of the Civil Rights Act, Johnson's War on Poverty, and Title IX, just to name a few. The nation found themselves challenged by the 1983 report, A Nation at Risk, which referred to the education system as being a rising tide of mediocrity. This led to a massive seeking to restructure the educational norm. Competition and choice, 1970s to the present. Corporations began to get more heavily involved in schools, hoping to create future employees. Businesses pushed funding into public schools, and in some instances, private businesses bought public schools. We began to see push by corporate leaders, politicians, and educators for more standardization in curriculums. Conflict in opinion rose between members of the federal government and educators. Reagan believed that previous policy from the civil rights movement had hurt school quality. The people sought to allow more competition, allow more privatization, and to give more power to the state and local governments. Change in competition came in the form of magnet and charter schools and the use of the voucher system. There was also an increase in homeschooling. And this concludes our presentation. Thank you for watching.